It was late, far past midnight, when the CEO of one of the country's largest companies walked alone through the silent office hallways. He was not wearing his usual tailored suit, not the watch worth more than most people's yearly salaries, and he was not surrounded by assistants. Instead, he wore simple jeans, an old jacket, and plain shoes. He had chosen to go undercover, to leave behind his title and comfort so he could see how his people really lived, how they struggled, and how they dreamed. Reports and statistics could never show him the truth. He wanted to feel it with his own eyes. The building was nearly empty. Only the soft hum of machines and the distant sound of cleaners filled the air. He was about to head back when something unusual caught his eye. At the far end of a hallway, a faint beam of light flickered. Curious, he followed it, and when he turned the corner, he stopped. There, sitting on the floor near the security desk, was a young guard. His uniform was neat but old, his shoes worn at the edges. In his lap rested a thick textbook, and in his hand a small flashlight. He leaned forward, studying with deep concentration, his lips moving slightly as he whispered formulas into the quiet. Beside him lay a notebook filled with scribbles, calculations, and diagrams. The CEO stood in the shadows, watching. The young man looked exhausted, yet his eyes were burning with determination. Every page he turned seemed like a fight against the darkness of his life. The CEO felt something stir in his chest. He remembered his own youth, a childhood filled with tutors and resources, with doors that opened easily for him. This young man had none of that, and yet he fought harder than most of the privileged people he knew. He did not disturb him. Quietly, he walked away, but the image of that small flashlight and those tired, determined eyes stayed with him. The next evening, the CEO returned, curious to see if the boy would be there again. And there he was, sitting in the same corner, bending over the same books, lips moving, eyes fixed. This time the CEO stepped forward. Still awake? He asked softly. The guard startled, quickly switching off his flashlight. Oh, sorry, sir, I didn't mean to disturb anyone. You're not disturbing me, the CEO replied gently. What are you studying? The guard looked embarrassed. His cheeks warmed. After a pause, he said, engineering, sir. I'm preparing for exams. I dream of becoming an engineer one day. The CEO tilted his head. Engineering. That's not an easy dream. Why study here, at this hour? The young man sighed, lowering his gaze. Because I don't have much choice. During the day, I work here to support my family. At night, when everyone is gone, it's the only time I can study. At home, we don't even have steady electricity. My family depends on me. So this is all I have. A few hours in the dark, a small flashlight, and these old books. His voice wavered slightly, but his eyes did not. The CEO felt his throat tighten. He sat beside him, still pretending to be just another worker. And if you succeed, if you become an engineer, what then? A faint smile crossed the young man's tired face. Then I will build things that matter. Machines, bridges, solutions for people who live like us. I want my sister to look at me and believe that dreams are possible, even if you start with nothing. The CEO looked at him for a long time. He saw no greed, no selfishness, only a hunger to create and to lift others. He stood up slowly and said, keep studying. You'll get there. The young man nodded politely, not realizing who he was speaking to. But his heart carried the words like a secret blessing. Over the following nights, the CEO made it a habit to pass by the guard's corner. Sometimes, he only watched from a distance, other times he asked questions. He learned that the guard's name was Arjun. He was 24, the eldest in a struggling family. His father had passed away, leaving debts behind. His mother worked as a tailor. His little sister was still in school. To keep them afloat, Arjun had taken the night job as a security guard, but inside him lived the dream of a builder. His textbooks were secondhand, the pages yellowed and already filled with someone else's notes. His flashlight batteries were weak, but he stretched them as far as they would go. He carried hope the way others carried despair, quietly, stubbornly, refusing to let go. The CEO began to admire him deeply. He had sat in countless boardrooms with people who spoke of profits, markets, and strategies, but here was a young man who spoke of dreams, responsibilities, and hope. He realized that in this tired guard lay more vision than many executives he had ever met. Arjun never complained. He never asked for help. He did not even imagine that the stranger who sat beside him was the man who owned the very building he was guarding. 2 weeks later, the undercover project ended. The CEO returned to his real position, back in his powerful chair, wearing his expensive suits. Yet his mind wandered constantly to that hallway, that faint flashlight, and the young man bent over his books. Finally, he made a decision. On Friday morning, Arjun was called to the conference room. He straightened his old uniform nervously. Guards were rarely summoned to the higher floors. His heart pounded. When he walked in, his steps faltered. Sitting at the head of the long table was the same man he had spoken to at night, the man in jeans and jacket. But now he was dressed in a fine suit, surrounded by directors who addressed him as, "Sir." Arjun's eyes widened in shock. His breath caught in his chest. The CEO smiled warmly. "Hello, Arjun." Arjun's voice shook. You are the CEO." "Yes," the man answered calmly. "And I owe you an apology. I did not tell you who I was. I went undercover to see the truth of my company. And in the quiet of one night, I found you." Arjun's face flushed with fear. He stammered, "Sir, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been studying during duty hours." "Don't be sorry," the CEO interrupted, his tone firm but kind. "You have nothing to apologize for. You reminded me what true ambition looks like. You inspired me." Arjun blinked rapidly, tears filling his eyes. He could not believe what he was hearing. The CEO stood and said, "From today, your life will change. I am offering you a full scholarship to complete your engineering degree. You will no longer work nights. Your family's needs will be supported. And when you graduate, there will be a place waiting for you in our engineering department." The room was silent. Arjun's knees trembled. Tears rolled down his cheeks. His lips moved, but no words came out. He finally whispered, "Sir, I don't know how to thank you. All I ever wanted was a chance." The CEO walked forward, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said softly, "Then take this chance. The rest is in your hands. Build your dream." From that day, Arjun's life took a new direction. He enrolled in university full-time, his fees and books covered by the company. He studied harder than ever, but now under proper light, with proper resources, and with peace of mind. His mother wept with gratitude when she heard the news. His little sister looked at him as if he had turned into a hero. Every time he opened his books, he remembered the night he was found by flashlight, and the moment that unlocked his future. Years passed, and Arjun graduated with honors. True to his promise, he joined the company as an engineer. But more than an employee, he became a symbol. People in the company whispered his story, passing it from one to another like a legend. The story of the security guard who studied in the dark, and how the CEO discovered him and changed his life. Even the CEO was changed by that night. He had gone undercover to learn about his company, but instead, he had learned about life. Leadership, he realized, was not about standing above others but about lifting them up. And the greatest secrets of life were often hidden in ordinary places, in the determination of a young man, in the corner of a hallway, in the flicker of a small flashlight that refused to go out. Arjun never forgot his journey. He carried his past like a badge of honor, proof that even in the darkest hours, hope could shine. And the CEO never forgot the lesson either. Whenever he saw a faint light in the night, he smiled to himself, remembering the secret flame he had discovered, the flame of a young man's unbreakable dream.